Welcome to Blackscreen Briefings. Tonight, a case that began with a doorbell camera and ended with a question that has divided courts, families, and the entire true crime community. This is the murder of Madeline Soto, 13 years old, reported missing on her birthday, found dead 4 days later, and the last person to see her alive. The man who raised her, who called himself her stepfather, who slept in the same hotel room the night she died, is walking free. Not because he was exonerated, because the evidence against him was gathered in ways a judge found intolerable. This is the story of how a confession on camera became silence in court. Madeline Soto was born on February 22, 2011, in Kissimmee, Florida. Her mother, Jen Soto, was 20 years old. The father was not present. By the time Madeline was 3, Jen had entered a relationship with Stephen Stearns, a man she had met through mutual friends. Stearns was 24 when he began dating Jen. He was 34 when Madeline died. For 10 years, he lived in the family's apartment. He was not Madeline's biological father. He was not her legal stepfather. Jen and Stearns never married. But he was, by all accounts, the primary male figure in her life. He helped with homework. He attended school events. He shared a 2-bedroom apartment with Jen and Madeline, and when the family traveled, he shared hotel rooms with them. This arrangement was known to friends, to family, to teachers. It was not reported to child services. It was not questioned in any formal capacity. It was, according to Jen Soto, a financial necessity. 2 bedrooms. 3 people. Stearns slept on a couch or, when traveling, in the same room as mother and daughter. This detail would become central. This detail would become evidence. This detail would become, in the eyes of prosecutors, the foundation of a crime and, in the eyes of a judge, the poisoned fruit of an illegal search. February 25, 2024. Madeline's 13th birthday. The family had spent the previous night, February 24th, at a relative's home in Kissimmee. Stearns drove Madeline to that home. Jen Soto did not attend. She was working, or she was unwell, or she was absent. Accounts vary. What is verified is that Stearns and Madeline were alone together that night. They shared a hotel room. They were seen on camera entering the room. They were seen, hours later, on camera exiting the room. What occurred between those timestamps is known only to Stearns and to whatever forensic evidence survived. On the morning of February 25th, Stearns was scheduled to drive Madeline to school. He later told police he overslept. He told them Madeline was asleep in the car when he drove past her school. He told them she woke up, said she needed to use the bathroom, and he dropped her near her school at approximately 8:19 a.m. He told them he then drove to a dumpster and discarded her backpack and laptop. He told them he returned to the apartment, where he remained until reporting her missing at approximately 8 p.m., 12 hours after he claimed to have last seen her. The doorbell camera at the apartment complex captured Stearns returning at 8:12 a.m. He was carrying Madeline's backpack, her laptop, and her school project. He was not carrying Madeline. He made multiple trips to the dumpster. He was seen on camera handling these items with what prosecutors would describe as unusual care and what defense attorneys would describe as normal behavior for a man whose stepdaughter had just left his vehicle. Madeline never arrived at school. She was not seen by any independent witness after the hotel room. Her phone was found in the apartment, charging. Her location data died with her digital silence. The Orange County Sheriff's Office launched a missing persons investigation. Stephen Stearns was interviewed on February 25th. He repeated his account: the oversleeping, the drive, the bathroom request, the drop-off, the dumpster. He consented to a search of his phone. He did not appear distressed. He did not request an attorney. He answered questions for hours. On February 26th, investigators executed a search warrant on the apartment. They seized Stearns' phone. They seized Madeline's phone. They seized bedding, clothing, electronic devices. They did not seize Stearns. He remained free, cooperative, present. The forensic analysis of Stearns' phone revealed images. Hundreds of images. Images of Madeline, asleep, unclothed. Images taken in the hotel room on February 24th. Images timestamped after the doorbell camera showed mother and daughter entering, before it showed them exiting. Images that depicted sexual abuse. Images that depicted a child who could not consent, who was unconscious, who was 13 years old. Stearns was arrested on February 28th, 3 days after reporting Madeline missing. He was charged with sexual battery on a child and possession of child sexual abuse material. He was not yet charged with murder. Madeline had not been found. On March 1st, 2024, her body was discovered in a rural area of St. Cloud, Florida, approximately 20 miles from the apartment. She was partially clothed. She had been shot twice in the head. The location was remote, wooded, known to few. The manner of death was execution. The timing of death was estimated as February 25th, the morning she disappeared, the morning Stearns claimed to have dropped her near her school. Following the discovery of the body, investigators transported Stearns from the Orange County Jail to the sheriff's office for questioning. The interview was recorded. It lasted hours. It was not continuously recorded. There were breaks. There were periods off camera. There were moments when Stearns was alone with investigators in rooms without audio or video surveillance. What was recorded has been partially released. What was recorded, according to prosecutors, includes Stearns admitting to killing Madeline, admitting to shooting her, admitting to moving her body, admitting to the images on his phone, the abuse in the hotel room, the years of violation that preceded the final violence. What was not recorded, according to defense attorneys, includes coercion, promises of leniency, physical exhaustion, psychological pressure applied during the unrecorded intervals. What was not recorded includes Stearns requesting an attorney and being told, allegedly, that he did not need one. What was not recorded includes the precise conditions under which a man in custody for 3 days, facing charges that would ensure he died in prison, decided to confess to murder. The confession was the case. The confession was the foundation of the first-degree murder charge filed on March 1st, 2024. The confession was the evidence that allowed prosecutors to seek the death penalty. The confession was the reason Stearns was held without bond, the reason the community breathed relief, the reason this case appeared resolved. On March 3rd, 2025, more than a year after the confession, Circuit Judge Letitia Marques issued a ruling that detonated the prosecution. The confession was suppressed. The images on Stearns' phone were suppressed. The physical evidence seized from the apartment was suppressed. The entire investigative edifice, from arrest to charges to death penalty request, was declared the fruit of constitutional violations so fundamental that no remedy short of exclusion could apply. The ruling was 119 pages. It detailed a series of errors, misjudgments, and possible misconduct that began with the first interview and ended with the confession. Stearns was questioned on February 25th without Miranda warnings because investigators claimed he was not in custody. He was questioned at the sheriff's office, in an interrogation room, for hours, while his stepdaughter was missing, while he was the last known person to see her, while he was not free to leave, but he was not in custody. The judge found this claim incredible. Stearns consented to a phone search. He did not consent to a search of his cloud storage. Investigators accessed his cloud storage. They found the images. The judge found this search exceeded consent. Stearns was arrested on February 28th. He requested an attorney during that arrest. He was not provided one. He was questioned anyway. The judge found this a clear Sixth Amendment violation. Stearns was transported for questioning on March 1st without being Mirandized again. He was held in a vehicle for hours before recording began. He was questioned in intervals, with breaks, without counsel present. He confessed. The judge found the confession involuntary, the product of cumulative constitutional violations, and inadmissible in any trial. The images were suppressed because they were derived from the illegal cloud search. The physical evidence was suppressed because it was derived from the illegal arrest. The confession was suppressed because it was derived from illegal custody and interrogation. Stephen Stearns, who had been held for a year on charges that would have ended his life, was remanded to custody on the remaining charge, failure to report a death, a misdemeanor, a sentence measured in months, not decades, a case that had begun with a missing child and ended with a judicial rebuke. The Orange County Sheriff's Office defended its investigation. The state attorney's office announced its intention to appeal. The appeal was filed. It is pending. Stearns remains in custody, but not for murder, not for sexual battery, not for the images that depicted a child he raised, abused, and, according to his own suppressed words, killed. Jen Soto has not been charged. She has been questioned. She has been scrutinized. She has, according to some accounts, been complicit in blindness, in denial, in the arrangement that placed her daughter in a hotel room with a man who photographed her unconscious body. She has, according to other accounts, been a victim herself, manipulated, deceived, a working mother who trusted the wrong partner. She has lost her daughter. She has not, as of this recording, faced legal consequence for that loss. The doorbell camera footage remains public. It shows Stearns at 8:12 a.m., carrying Madeline's belongings, discarding them, returning to an apartment where his phone would soon reveal what he had done, what he had been doing, what he had documented with the casual cruelty of a man who did not believe he would be caught. The footage does not show Madeline. She was already gone. She was already dead. She was already in the woods, undiscovered, while her stepfather arranged her belongings in a dumpster and went home to wait. What occurred in the unrecorded hours of March 1st? The judge found the confession involuntary based on the conditions that preceded it. Prosecutors maintain it was voluntary, true, and should be heard. The truth of the confession, whether Stearns actually killed Madeline, actually shot her, actually moved her body, is legally irrelevant if the confession was coerced. The legal system does not ask whether the confession was accurate. It asks whether it was freely given. The judge found it was not. The prosecution disagrees. The appeal will decide. Where's the weapon? The gun used to shoot Madeline Soto twice in the head has not been recovered. Stearns, if he is the killer, has not revealed its location. The absence of the weapon complicates the case even if the confession is reinstated. A confession without corroborating physical evidence is vulnerable. A confession without a weapon, without ballistic match, without the instrument of death, is a story without an ending. Who else knew? The images on Stearns' phone were not created in isolation. They were created in a hotel room, in an apartment, over years. Did Jen Soto know? Did friends know? Did the relatives who hosted the February 24th gathering know? The investigation has not revealed accomplices. It has not revealed witnesses. It has revealed only Stearns, alone with his phone, alone with his confession, alone with the knowledge of what he did and documented. Why was he not stopped? This is the question that extends beyond this case. The arrangement, unrelated adult male, minor female, shared sleeping spaces, was known. It was not reported. It was not investigated. It was, in the assessment of those who knew the family, unusual but not alarming. The threshold for alarm is higher than the threshold for abuse. Madeline Soto lived in the gap between those thresholds for 10 years. This has been a Blackscreen briefing. Sources include the Orange County Sheriff's Office arrest affidavit, Circuit Judge Letitia Marques' 119-page suppression order, and verified reporting from the Orlando Sentinel and Court TV. If you have information regarding this case, contact the Orange County Sheriff's Office. The confession exists. It has been spoken. It has been recorded. It has been suppressed. Whether it will be heard by a jury remains uncertain. Whether it is true remains, in the eyes of the law, secondary to whether it was freely given. The images exist. They have been seen. They have been suppressed. The girl in them is dead. The man who created them is alive, in custody, awaiting appeal. The doorbell camera recorded what it recorded. The phone recorded what it recorded. The law has recorded its objections. The story is not finished. I'm your narrator. Until the next briefing.